Hi, I'm Gene Cavassis. I'm going to show you how to take a $65 eBay Stratocaster guitar kit and go from this to this. Stay tuned. But the guitar came well packaged. It was in a bag. The pick guard, all the controls, the pickups, everything is already connected to it. And the guitar body, I'm pretty impressed with. For the most part, it looks good. Now, it's definitely a two-piece. You can see right here where there is a lamination and a few nicks and stuff, so I'm going to want to do some sanding with this, and then eventually this is going to be a solid color. So this is going to mean I'm going to want to use some grain filler on this. What I've picked up is plastic wood, and we'll be putting that on. I'll show you how that works real soon. But for the most part here, between the body, everything here is pre-wired. That's pretty cool. All of your additional parts come in a bag. It even came with the strings and a guitar cord on that as well. The main thing I was mostly concerned about is the neck. And for the most part on this, and we'll check for level, but I was looking at this, and this is a pretty straight neck. I'm really happy about this. I was kind of surprised. The other guitar kit that I had purchased, this was a block. This one has already come pre-cut in the traditional Fender shape. That's fine, but that's kind of interesting, surprised me there. Now, I'm going to have to do some fret work on this, and I'll show you how to double check to make sure that all of your frets are level. But the main thing I've noticed is the frets they're rough. Like if I just assemble it right now and started playing this thing, the edges of this would tear your fingers up pretty quickly. So, you know, but that's not a big deal. You can work that through. Looking at this too, it felt like the neck, for the most part, fits. I don't think this is going to be a bad build at all. So I'm excited to see how this goes. Let's see how it works. Okay, we're going to start out with the basic guitar body. Now, it's not in bad shape, but we're going to use the plastic wood, and I'm going to put a thin coat all over this guitar body. What we're going to try to do here is basically fill in all the little tiny grains, because if I'm going to do this body in a solid color, I really don't want to see wood grain if that's at all possible. You're going to use 220 grit to start with and start taking all of this wood filler down, working in the direction of the grain the whole time. And then you'll eventually move up to 400 grit. Now I'm going to take a wood prep and I'm going to seal it with that once, and then I'll start staining. To get the body ready now, you're going to take a damp cloth, you're going to wipe it down and use Minwax pre-stain and just give it a single coat all the way around. What this does is it helps to bring the grains back out in the wood, and once it dries, you're going to give it another light sanding. Okay, well now that we've sanded the guitar down and I've wiped it down with a damp cloth, I think I got the body about as good as I'm going to get it. Feel free, take your time, get it as smooth as possible. Now I'm going to start on how I want to color this. Now I want to go with a classic color style, so I'm going to go back to using this original set of acrylic paints. These are water-based acrylic paints, and I used them on the Telecaster guitar kit that I did, and you can go back and look at that. And I'm going to mix up these paints and water to kind of the turquoise or the seafoam green of, I believe, is close to the 72 Fender Strat. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit of water into this. I'm kind of shooting for that color. It doesn't have to be exact, but it needs to be close. Now I'm going to put quite a bit of color in this because I want to make sure that when I stain it has a good. Let's see what we got color-wise going here. I think that's going to be pretty close to what I want. Using a clean cotton rag, I just basically rubbed on the paint like you would a stain. I put 2 solid colors on there, and now wipe that back down and you're ready to come back and start applying the true oil. Now I'm going to use also new clean cotton rags and start applying a single coat to both sides of the guitar along with the sides. Let it dry overnight, come back and do another coat. And depending on each coat, I've sanded between each one using 500 grit wet dry paper. So you wipe that back down and keep applying coats of the true oil on there and working that into the finish. Now I tried to let it dry between coats about 24 hours and then giving it light sanding, even using real fine steel wool. I clamped the guitar down by using a board where the neck would fit. So now that I've gotten all of my coats on there, I've given it one last coat of true oil. This time I'm going to, wearing nylon gloves, I'm going to literally just hand rub the true oil into the surface. Okay, so now we want to start on the neck of the guitar. Now, the neck, I was thinking was pretty straight, and looking down the guitar, the neck, it actually seems pretty straight. But what I am seeing is there's a definite arc to the neck. So now in the kit, it does come with an Allen wrench, and you can adjust the neck tension through here. Now, trying to get a good look at this, I'm going to hold up a aluminum yardstick, and you can see that there's definitely an arc right here. So now we're going to need to see if we can tighten this up and get that level enough to then maybe level these frets out. So you're going to do about quarter turns each time, and do about a quarter turn and then check your level. I had to do this about 3 times on this, but in my 3rd time I came back and it looks like it's going to be pretty close. So now you're going to need to be able to sand down these frets. So we're going to create a sanding tool. So I'm going to use a inexpensive $3 level that I picked up at Harbor Freight. You could probably get one at Walmart for the same price. And using 220 sandpaper, mark the thickness on the back side of the sandpaper, a couple of rows, and then take a cheap pair of scissors and cut out both those strips of sandpaper. Now, using Craft Bond, you're going to spray the back side of each of these pieces of sandpaper, then come back and apply those to the level itself. Now, using a Sharpie, mark the top crown of every one of these frets with just a light mark so you can see the black markings. What this is going to do is help you to see that you're filing down the frets evenly. So now, using the level and sanding back and forth, you'll eventually sand off all those black marks, and you can see that you've now leveled all the frets. So now, taking painter's tape, go between each of the frets, leaving the fret itself exposed, but you want that tape to help protect that rosewood. And this is going to allow you to take more 220 and finish sanding these frets. You're going to want to sand off any of the rough edges at the ends, and then folding the sandpaper, you're going to want to re-crown each of the frets. Once you've done that, come back with that fine steel wool and repolish each of the individual frets. It now feels pretty straight. Setting a metal edge up on it, the frets are leveled out. Now we're going to move to the next part, and that's getting the neck sanded and prepared for sealing with the True Oil as well. So just like the guitar body, you're going to want to sand that neck down, protect the neck by taping out the rosewood with all the painter's tape, and once again using the True Oil, and it doesn't take a lot, a few drops, and then I was using the latex gloves and just hand rubbing in the True Oil. Make sure you cover everything, that you don't have any drips, and then you can sand with steel wool in between each coat. Now also, on this guitar, I built some logos that I want to use for the top. Now you could redo these with either the original Fender logos. I created new logos using slide decals, and I'll do a video on how to recreate your own decals, slide decals. I'm amazed how far True Oil goes. You can get a lot of miles off of True Oil. This is one bottle, and it did the finish on the neck and the entire guitar, and the guitar had multiple coats on it. Depending on the time of the year and the temperature, you can sometimes recoat True Oil in as little as 2 hours. Now, I generally try to let things dry for up to 24 hours so that they really have a chance to cure out a little bit. Okay, I've put about 6 or 7 coats of the True Oil on this. It's got a nice shine to it, but there's lots of small little pieces of fiber in it that I'm going to want to buff out. Now, how I'm going to approach this is I'm going to use a automotive paste wax, rub it in and buff it out. So I've got that and a pack of polishing pads that should fit a drill that I ordered off of Amazon, so we'll be trying those out and see how they work. Now, using the applicator that came with the auto polish, apply a good liberal coat, throwing some pressure down on that thing and rub that paste down into it. After letting it dry, I'm going to come back with the buffer on the drill, and there's several different pads, and I just took the most coarse pad that it comes with and gave it a coat once with that, working through it, and I was amazed how quickly you started to get a shine off of it from that. Flipping it over, I did the same approach to the face as well as the edging of it. After buffing it all down, I switched to a finer foam and rebuffed again, and I had a mirror finish going on with that. Very happy with how that turned out. Okay, so now we've got most of the tape off of it. The neck is polished up. And I'm going to apply some linseed oil to the actual rosewood, the fret bars on here, because I think that'll make it slicker and wear better and just look better too. Now, I have had this quart of linseed oil for forever, and I just have it goes a long way. Alright, now the fun starts. You've gone through all this work making everything look great. So now you get to assemble it. So I'm going to use the pick guard with the pickups to help align the bridge mount. Now, once again, there were no screws drilled in this at all, no mounting holes, so I'm having to kind of wing this as I go. So the pick guard helped me to align the 6 screws that will hold the bridge into place. With the bridge in place, you're going to flip the body over and get ready to mount the cleat that holds the springs. Here's the cleat that will hold the springs, and it also comes with 2 wood screws that will be mounted on an angle down through the body. Do not try to drill them straight on. You're going to drill those down on an angle. I pre-drilled these and then screwed the wood screws down to secure this. But once you have those down into place, you're going to be able to come back those 2 screws off about a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch, and that's going to give you a little room to put the springs into place. About the springs. Now, I've looked around and it seems that the springs are a personal preference. Some people only want 1 spring to have very soft response to the whammy bar. Some want 2, some want 3. I'm going to go ahead and mount all 3 springs. And even the locations, which there's multiple locations that you can mount them as well. But I'm going to start with the full tension, and I can always come back later and readjust that. Once you have the 3 springs mounted, you can come back with the drill and tighten those 2 wood screws back, securing the tension on the front. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and mount the neck onto the guitar. The neck, luckily for this guitar, was very tight, and I'm going to pre-drill my holes before screwing these down. Now, I have marked the drill bit to make sure that I do not drill the holes too deep. The last thing you want is a screw coming out of your fretboard. So once those are pre-drilled, come back with the screws provided and secure that neck firmly. Now it's time to set the pick guard into place. Now, luckily this already comes with the pickups and the volume knobs, everything pre-installed. So I'm going to run the wires through the cavity that come out into the jack for plugging in the power cord and secure down the pick guard. Okay, so I put the guitar, the basic, the pickups in and everything, push the wires through, and all of a sudden I'm looking at this, and here's the ground wire. So I realized this ground wire is going to have to go back through the guitar body and be connected and ground right here at the back of the guitar, so I'm going to have to punch that through first. So now, taking the 50 million screws back off the pick guard, I'm going to have to now take the pick guard off and take the green wire and actually run that through the body of the guitar and between the springs on the back. Once I've drilled that hole and run it through there, I will then solder the green wire to that heel that I had, or the cleat that I had talked about earlier. So now, here we go again. I'm going to, this time, put the black and the white wire through the hole provided that will go to the guitar jack, and then make sure that the green wire goes all the way through the body of the guitar. Then I'll have to come back and re-secure the pick guard again. Now I'm going to get ready to do the soldering. I've been heating up the soldering iron, and I'm going to use a washcloth or a rag to help protect the body, and you're going to now solder the white and the black cord or wires to the guitar jack. Take your time, and I'm not a great solderer, but the simplest of you know, even if you don't have any experience, this is a great way to learn. This is a very, very simple soldering that has to be done. So you solder the white wire and the black wire to the guitar cord jack, and then you're going to solder the green wire to that heel plate that you have on the back of the guitar. Now it's time to install all the tuning pegs. So you have a washer and then a nut to push down on each one of them. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and screw each one down by hand. After I get them locked down, I will screw down the back side and then come back with a wrench and tighten up the front. So take your time on these. You've got a little play in these, but you want to be able to make sure that you're able to line everyone up exactly where you want. The holes were pre-drilled, they fit fine. There is a small hole that you're going to have to pre-drill on the back side, and that's where you want to make sure that you've got a little room to play with and that everything fits just right. So I'm going to come down, I'm going to pre-drill all these holes with a small bit, and these are a very, very small screw that fits these, and line up and screw down each of the tuning pegs. Once you've got that done, you can come back with a wrench and just securely tighten each of the tuning pegs as well. Now, on the nut on the end, this guitar kit did not come with the nut pre-installed. Now I'm going to go ahead and use Gorilla Glue, Crazy Glue, and to help secure that. I hope I'm right in the direction that I'm using that with, but it seemed to secure it just fine. So now I'm going to start feeding the guitar strings into it. Now, rather than using the guitar strings that came with the kit, I went ahead and bought a premium set of strings. If you can do anything for your kit, even though it's a cheap $65 kit, put a little effort into buying a decent set of strings. Once you've got the strings installed, they push through from the back side. You can tighten them all up, and this shouldn't take you very long at all. Few things to finish up. There is the guitar strap mounts for the back or the end of the guitar, and also for up toward the neck as well. Okay, the only thing you have left to do is to make sure your ground wire's out of the way and secure the cover, the spring cover on the back of the guitar. This is, for the most part, the end of all of your basic assembly. Now, you'll want to put some time into this and tune it, get a good setup on it. Take your time, have some fun with the guitar, but I'm pretty happy with how this all turned out. You've got a slick looking, sweet little guitar. You know, I had a lot of fun building this guitar. This was a great little project. I'm really happy with how it turned out. I like the color. I put a little work into that body. Spent some time on the neck getting the frets leveled out, the water slide up on the headstock. This is a great little project. For 65 bucks, this thing would make a killer wall hanging. So, you know, how can you go wrong with that? So I give it a thumbs up. Listen, if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. Give me a comment down below. Let me know your ideas, your suggestions. If you've got ideas for future DIY projects you'd like to see me build, let me know. This has been a lot of fun, and I'll see you soon. Okay, so I got a lot to learn about playing the guitar.